Hello, Madam Ashton. Hello.
Good morning. A very important Foreign Affairs Council this morning, which will of course begin with hearing particularly from our colleague from the Netherlands about the terrible tragedy that took place in Ukraine in the downing of the aircraft MH17 Malaysian Airlines. All of you have been following this awful tragedy unfolding, and our determination, and just reading through what the Security Council has decided in New York, our determination too to see proper access to the site so that loved ones can know that the bodies of their relatives and friends can be brought home and treated properly and respectfully. The investigation needs to take place too. All of the information that you've seen coming out of different sources needs to be verified, and we now need to look at the consequences for this. And we call on Russia to do its part in ensuring that the separatists really do engage with the monitors and engage with those who are trying to investigate the scene at the present time. In the broader context too, we will continue to discuss the situation in Ukraine, and you know we have the Eastern Partners meeting this afternoon where our colleague Foreign Minister Klimkin will join other colleagues to talk about the developing of relations with the European Union. We're also going to talk about Iraq and the current situation, which is deeply concerning there. On the back of the last meeting when we had the UN representative Nikolai Mladenov to be able to discuss what further steps we can take, I will take the opportunity to report back on the talks with Iran in Vienna, which, as you know, I've just finished. There'll be other issues too, but I think I'll focus on those.
Magdi first.
Thank you. High Representative, a lot of tragedy in Egypt. There is another tragedy happened a few days ago, one of the suicide bomb taking the life of 21 soldiers. How do you find the situation going now in Egypt, and are you planning to visit Egypt soon?
I hope to be able to visit Egypt in the not too distant future, and of course, you know, our thoughts are with those who are suffering as a consequence of these terrible events. Egypt plays an important and crucial role in the region, as well as its own internal dynamic, especially now when we think about the situation in the Middle East. And I know that President al-Sisi and others have been working to try and support a ceasefire, which needs to happen in Gaza. Again, this will be a huge part of our discussions today as we think about the situation. Israel's absolute right to defend itself, our concern about what's happening to civilians in Gaza, a place I visited several times and know only too well how complex and difficult life is for the people there.
Adrian.
Lady Ashton, you expect the ministers today to approve new sanctions on Russia, and do you think now is the time to look at sanctions on sectors of the Russian economy?
Well, as you know, the European Council asked us to look at the legal base on which we're operating in order that we could potentially expand. And we've been asking ambassadors to now develop how they want to do that. So the politics of today will be, first of all, ensuring that we're working absolutely in step with particularly the Netherlands, to make sure that everything we do fits into their needs to be able to sort out the problems on the ground immediately. And then to instruct ambassadors, instruct CoRepair and the PSC, all of the usual ambassadorial teams, and myself in how we go forward. I think it's going to be a really strong debate, and I think there'll be a number of possibilities for how ministers decide in the end they want to go forward. But if I say to you, go forward, they will and must.
Should we go across to the other side very quickly?
So let me just begin by saying the Foreign Affairs Council today will begin, of course, by focusing on the terrible tragedy that took place in Ukraine, the downing of Malaysian flight MH17. Our thoughts are with the families and friends of all those involved, and we'll be looking especially to the Dutch Foreign Minister, who is coming from New York and who will have much to tell us. We will want to support the Netherlands, especially as they move forward with the inquiry, and we call upon all those who can to allow access so that bodies can be removed and relatives who are in desperate grieving can see that their loved ones are treated with dignity and respect and returned home. and then to allow the investigators to determine exactly what happened. You've all seen the reports coming out. We are very determined to understand exactly what happened. That will enable ministers to have a broader discussion too about what's happening in Ukraine and to go forward in our deliberations on that and to discuss what action we could and should take. This afternoon, Foreign Minister Klimkin from Ukraine will be here for the Eastern Partners meeting, so we'll have a chance to also discuss with him the situation there and with other colleagues in the Eastern Partnership Group.
And has the EU been too soft towards Russia?
Sorry?
Has the EU been too soft towards Russia?
I think we have been extremely determined in our deliberations with President Putin. You know that many leaders have been in discussion with him, and we've been very determined to try and make this situation on the ground a better situation before the aircraft was downed. And we will continue with that. We have called upon Russia to do what it can do, and it certainly can and should do more to ensure that those who describe themselves as separatist leaders and those who see themselves as looking towards Russia for guidance get the strong messages, perhaps even more so now than ever, that this is an unacceptable situation.
Do you think that sanctions need to be expanded now?
I think what you will see is ministers discussing the new legal base the European Council asked us to work out in order that we could decide what to do next. I'm expecting ministers to want to consider very carefully what more to do, but they will be guided in that in terms of timing and so on, very much I think by what the Dutch Foreign Minister asked us to do, because getting the people home, getting the inquiry started is absolutely top of our agenda for all the reasons you know.
Thanks very much, everyone.
It's just that I didn't expect them so early.